All right, y'all. DLowe 404 boxing. Come in here talk a little bit of boxing. Talk about this Porter versus Crawford fight. Want to talk a little bit about Porter retiring, and then lastly, what I'm saying, speak a little bit on Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. However you want to phrase it. Um, but first and foremost, let me just say that I was thoroughly entertained last night with the fight as it played out. I felt like it was a really good fight with a lot of ebb and flow. It wasn't a situation where one guy was just dominating the other guy, and it wasn't a runaway fight. It was a lot of back and forth where, at one spot, you'd have one guy, winning around, and then another guy winning around, another guy win two, and vice versa. It's just a lot of I guess the best way to put it is that Shawn Porter definitely put his stamp and his imprint on the fight. It definitely was a Shawn Porter type fight, and Bud Crawford did nothing to. He wasn't able to do anything to make it look any different than a lot of other Shawn Porter fights for the most part. Shawn Porter is the type of fighter who, because of his, relentless aggression and his work rate and athleticism, he's able to, in a lot of cases, make fights go. They basically go along the same, I guess, for lack of a better term, pattern, and that's a testament to how good a fighter Shawn Porter is, and I'm saying, just how well he does at making sure that he makes his opponents work because he's going to constantly be working. So definitely want to take my hat off to Shawn Porter. He did a good job in there last night. He was game. He definitely was everything that I expected of him. Because I never, me personally, I felt like coming into that fight that the best possible outcome in terms of how the fight would go, in terms of winning, who's winning rounds and how that would go. I felt like for Bud to win, the best possible outcome would probably end up being that the fight's pretty close. And then as you get down the back stretch, that, Bud could potentially pull away and get separation and start landing the more crisper shots, the cleaner shots. And then Bud could potentially end up, even possibly stopping Shawn Porter. But for me, I definitely, I definitely got to give credit to Shawn Porter for everything that he brought to the fight. I'm not going to just sit here and act like, Bud just had his way with the man. That definitely wasn't the case. Hey, salute to you, DB. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what you thinking about the fight, man? How how good a fight was it? Did you enjoy the fight? Like it's just me and you in here if you're still here. Which is, cool with me. I just want to talk some boxing, man. If somebody willing to talk it with me, I'm all for it. All right. So anyway, so like I said, man, Shawn Porter definitely put his imprint on the fight. He definitely put his stamp on it. And he definitely made he made Bud earn everything he got in there. I see DB came back with a comment. Let me read that. DB said, I thought it would be a rugged fight for 6 or 7 rounds. Yeah, DB. I think I couldn't help but have that same, that same sentiment. I felt that, that Shawn Porter is just too good a guy to too good a fighter, you know what I'm saying? And just too aggressive and has too much will to just let a fight just go someone else's way the whole way through. And you know what I'm saying? And Shawn fought tooth and nail. He was there throughout the duration. And you know what I'm saying? I just like I see DB put in there, I felt like Bud, I also felt that Bud would eventually make adjustments and get separation. What that separation looked like, I had no idea. I just felt like that's how the fight could potentially play out. Salute D Hodges. D Hodges said, "What up, DLowe in chat? LDBC salute. I salute back at you, man. DB, I just read that. He said he figured Bud would make his adjustments. Okay, y'all speaking to each other. All right. Woo 36. Hey, Woo, you gonna bring any comment relief to the chat today? I've been seeing your comments on other videos and stuff, man. I've been getting a good laugh out of some of the stuff you've been saying. It's all good. It's all, you know what I'm saying, it's all well and fun. Ain't nobody getting hurt by a little comedy, you know what I'm saying? Unless you just you know what I'm saying, just that sensitive. Precious. I didn't even notice that, man. Typo on that. All right, yeah. Yeah, that's the comment relief right there. Even by mistake, you brought a little comment relief to the chat already. Boy, you know it. Yeah, that was crazy, man. When you was talking about Arrow the Poof Spence, that was funny. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but back to the fight, man. I was over there on Marlowe's corner, listening to Trey X call a frog out of well as usual. And you know what I'm saying? I can't remember how Marlowe was scoring the fight. I was too busy reading what other people in the chat were scoring and how I was trying to score the fight myself. But I could tell y'all that it was kind of reminiscent of the Errol Spence versus Porter fight, where you had scores all over the place, where some people felt like, Porter was having his, he was having his way in rounds, and they were giving them to Porter, and the other people were feeling like Errol was in the round. So, I mean, it was at one point, I think some people had it like, 5-2, 4-2 for Bud, and then other people would have it 4-2 the other way. You know what I'm saying? And the rounds were just those type of rounds. It kind of was depending on what you actually liked and who you thought was doing the better work. There were rounds that I clearly thought that Porter won, and I see people put that Bud won. There were rounds I thought that Bud clearly won, and I see people say that Porter won those rounds. So it was just a lot of rounds where there wasn't just clear, concise separation. And that's Shawn Porter for you. The only fight I've ever seen that I felt like there were clear rounds that were easy to score, in my opinion, but apparently I was in the minority, and that was the Ugas fight. I felt like when Ugas won rounds against Porter, they were clear Ugas rounds, but he still ended up losing the fight. So, what do I know? Maybe I don't know how to score a fight. DB says Shawn seemed to be doing very well, but Kenny felt it was going downhill. Yeah, I felt like Shawn was in the fight, man, but I did see it slowly start to turn, and I felt like Bud was getting to the point where he had just turned the corner and was about to run downhill on Shawn. As a boxing fan, I like to see fights come to a natural conclusion. I don't like to see fights stopped on headbutts. I don't like to see fights stop prematurely and things like that. But I am not the trainer in the corner, Shawn Porter, not my son, so I can only formulate my assessment based on what I feel like I saw. And I felt like the fight, you know what I'm saying, had turned to that point, and that if it had concluded, it was, a matter of time. But I've also seen fights that I felt that way about it, and then it was able to, the tide turned again, So you just never know what can happen if a guy can make it to the corner. But we were still, I think it was pretty early in the round. But I also know that, without Kenny saying it, just watching Shawn Porter fight over the years, I know that was the first time Kenny ever saw Shawn go down back to back in a matter of like 20, 30 seconds. And with that being the case, you know what I'm saying, that was something new. And also when he alluded to what he was seeing in camp and things like that, I think we kind of hang on to what Kenny said and feeling like, he was disrespectful towards Shawn or not very thoughtful of Shawn before he stated certain things that they could have probably talked about in private. And when he was put on the spot and asked why he stopped the fight, I felt like he could have just said he didn't like what he was seeing. And he thought, that Shawn was in jeopardy of getting hurt, which is ultimately what he said. But it's the other things he said before that people are hanging on to, and that people have a hard time letting go. And, the fact that the fight didn't reach a natural conclusion, people already kind of feel like we were robbed in a sense. And then when he came out and said what he said about the preparation, and that, you know, he already, you know, had made up his mind that if he got in trouble against this guy, that he was not going to let the fight continue. And, you know, so all of that kind of make people feel like, you know what I'm saying, it really feels like, you know, it was basically a premature stoppage, and that, you know, some people even feel like he was a bit vindictive. I've seen people talking about, you know, I don't even want to repeat some of the stuff I said because it's kind of, you know, I would be adding to the rumor mill or the slander or libel, whatever. So I won't even repeat. But some of the things I heard were like atrocious and very accusatory toward Kenny and his character as a man, not just a father and a trainer. D Hodges said, I said Bud by stoppage. Told y'all. Good call. Wu 36 said, them Spence groupies cried for Bud to fight Porter. Now that's done with, they still making excuses. Yeah, man. I tend to try to stay away from, you know, that kind of stuff, man, because, you know, them conversations, I kind of like, just like, if I'm in a chat and it tends to sway heavily toward like everybody in the chat or everybody on the panel is just dog piling on Spence or dog piling on Bud, and they all just riding heavy for the other guy, I kind of just change the channel. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to change nobody's mind. They can feel how they want to feel. I don't have to agree with it. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't really want to go back and forth with people about it, man. I'll joke around about some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't agree with all this Porter, you know, Bud never fought anybody talk, but you know what I'm saying? Everybody has their own opinion of how they evaluate and assess opponents and assess these guys. You know, the one fighter that I typically am quick to open my mouth about, though, when somebody starts being dismissive of Gamboa, because, you know, so I got a lot of respect for that dude as a fighter, you know what I'm saying, especially what he was back then. And I'll just, before I move on, I'll just say this. You know, we saw Lomachenko lose to a guy many years after Gamboa just took him apart, you know what I'm saying, in Salido. So if Lomachenko is all that he is, and he went through life and death with Salido, but Gamboa just dismantled the guy, you know, so how is Gamboa a bum? But, you know, I'm going to leave it at that. Robert Stewart said salute. He's saying salute. Bud did what Bud does. They salute you, Robert Stewart. 36 telling me I said stoppage by ref for corner 9 through 11. Yeah, man. I actually put money on the 9th round stoppage. I hated that I thought I had money on 10th round stoppage, but turns out I didn't. So I actually you know, lost my little money or whatever, but it wasn't much. You know, I don't know. Some of y'all know, some of y'all don't, you know what I'm saying? I come from, you know, I used to drag race. When I first came to YouTube, that was, you know, that's kind of how I found my way to YouTube. And you know, I've always said, even back then, you know, in grudge racing, you know, so I'm not gonna bet what I can't afford to lose. So that's the same way I look at betting on anything, you know what I'm saying? If I can't afford to lose or I don't, you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna put it in. So I didn't stand to win a lot of money, but I definitely didn't stand to lose a lot of money. So, you know, but yeah, I was hoping for that 9th round, man. I hate it when they got out of the 9th round. D Hodges says, shaking my head, I ain't seen no Porter fans all day on any channel. What happened since yesterday? Yeah, D Hodges, I think you're alluding to, you know, the theory that there weren't really any Porter fans to begin with. They were all anti-Bud fans, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I've heard people saying that, you know, I've been a fan of Shawn Porter, but I've been critical of him too. But I'm critical of a lot of fighters that I'm fans of. That don't mean, I'm not going to say I'm the biggest Shawn Porter fan, but I've been a fan of Shawn Porter for a while. Typically root for him to win. You know, I'm rooting for him to win now. You know, that he's retired. I'm rooting for the man to win in life and root for him to win at the next level at whatever he decides to do. If he's going to do commentating, I hope he becomes the best commentator that he can be, and that he's very successful and has a long reign, and that he gives us something new, something away from what we're used to seeing and hearing. You know, a lot of fights we've watched and we get turned off by the commentary. You know, that's why, you know, that's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons, you know, that I found my way over to Marlowe's Corner to listen to Trey X call fights, because I get tired of listening to the biased commentary and some of the foolishness that goes on when these guys are trying to tell us what we're seeing when we're watching these fights. So I definitely hope that Shawn Porter doesn't just follow script and just become another talking head that's going, by a script that just says, okay, this is the guy that we want to win. So tell the fans he's winning the fight, regardless of what you're seeing. Y'all saluting each other out. Errol ran out faster than toilet paper in 2020. Oh my God, man. Man, get off that, man. Errol's eye is healed. That man found the exit. Yeah, he found the exit. I don't, like I said, man, I made a video about this. I dropped earlier. I don't know. Well, you might have found it and commented on it. I can't remember because I know you commented on something I made. I can't really harp on that too much, and I'll say why. When Bud went to the Spence fight and of course we wanted him to get to the ring and we wanted Spence to acknowledge him, and then Spence made the comments that he made about he don't know why he was there and all that. I didn't really like it. And you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, my mentality was that regardless of what happens, if they ain't gonna make a fight, I don't even really care. Because what I need to see are those guys making a fight. And anything other than that is just them talking to one another, you know what I'm saying, and potentially building up a fight, which is good. But we saw them face to face for 30 minutes or more at the Hooker fight years ago, and we thought we were getting a fight from that, and we really didn't get any closer to the fight. We basically just got confirmation that we won't get the fight anytime soon back then. When they were together, when both of them were at, I want to say it was another Hooker fight when Hooker fought. Who was the guy he fought and lost to recently? What's the kid's name? Ortiz. I think it was Virgil Ortiz. I want to say Bud and Errol were both at that fight. I know they were both at somebody's fight recently, within the last several months and before the eye injury and all that. And, people were like feeling like they should have met up with each other and that they should have came together and built up the fight and this, that, and the other. And even then I said, man, if they're not trying to, really get behind the scenes and talk to the people who can actually make the fight, I don't care to see them just hanging out with each other or see them mean mugging each other or having some face-to-face confrontation or whatever. But then at the end of the day, we still don't get any close to the fight. But that's just me. I do understand, people feeling some type of way about him walking out like he did, and that's their prerogative. It's definitely not what I wanted to see happen, but like I said, I ain't gonna harp on it too much for the reasons I just stated. Robert Stewart, Bud got robbed of a highlight reel knockout by Kenny, but I'll take it. Yeah, Rob Stewart. That's one thing I say about that is we as the fans were robbed of an opportunity to see a legitimate conclusion on what I say, a fight come to its natural conclusion. We were robbed of the opportunity to see that. Shawn Porter was robbed of an opportunity to regroup and get back into the fight, or finish the fight on his feet, or either go out on his shield, however you want to say it. But Crawford was robbed of the opportunity to get a legitimate, to get a knockout, basically a no questions asked, no doubt, no, basically a knockout beyond reproach, beyond scrutiny. He was robbed of that opportunity. But at the same time, Kenny's probably looking at, from his vantage point, he's not going to be robbed of the best version of his son that he can have left after boxing, And I'm just trying to be, devil's advocate here, I guess. But anyway, also the other thing about that situation is that by the fight not coming to a natural conclusion, then it opened the doors for a lot of conversations that are going to be had on YouTube over the next several weeks, several months. That's a good thing, and that's a bad thing. It just depends on your perspective. But at the end of the day, it's something else for us to talk about. And, all of us are either content creators or we come to YouTube to look at content. So with that being the case, we definitely get to see more. We get to, see more live streams or take part in more live streams or see more videos about this particular matter that we're talking about that I'm talking about right now. That's DB said, I don't have to slander Errol because Bud won. Why can't we like both as fans? Yeah, and you know what, DB, I'll be honest, man. Even some of these guys that I know that, you know what I'm saying, like that make jokes about Errol and make jokes about Bud. I know some of these guys actually do like both fighters, or at least they've told me so. You know, me personally, you know what I'm saying, like if you know, you go to my channel, you look at videos I made about both fighters, you'll find videos where I've been critical of both guys. You'll find videos where I've been big up in both guys. You'll find videos where I defended both guys about the fight not happening and said that it's not in their control. And you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, what I try to stay away from is just tearing these guys down. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? Some people feel like that's what they want to do. And that's kind of par for the course when you're I don't want to say celebrity, but when you're a public figure. Everything you do gets scrutinized a little bit further than it would if you were just Joe Blow citizen, or if you were a lower tier boxer. But once you get to a certain plateau and you're looked at a certain way, everything you do is going to be overly scrutinized, or either it's going to be really looked at, and people are going to, you know, really voice their opinions about everything you do and say, right, wrong, or indifferent. And for me, you know, I just have to do a better job of trying to not, you know, take like me trying not to bring my personal feelings at times into how I assess, and you know, me putting this dialogue together to put content on my channel, you know, because sometimes I gotta, you know, I gotta look at these guys are fighters, these guys are young, you know, these guys are still living their lives, and to an extent, some of them have lived a life that I can't really relate to, and it's not necessarily saying because of the riches and the fame. I'm saying because they spent a lot of their childhood not doing the things I was doing, because they were committing and sacrificing so much to be able to get to where they are at this point in life. You know, it's a different game. So I try to think about all of that before I just come out and just be overly critical of these guys, and not just saying these two. I'm talking about these fighters in general. Either Bud haters or Errol can pick Porter, huh? D Hard said either Bud hater or Errol can pick Porter, in my opinion. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Oh, either Bud hater or Errol fans picked Porter. No, I don't. D Hodges, I don't really, you know, I think that some people genuinely looked at, you know, what both guys brought to the table. And, you know, they genuinely, some people, I'm not saying all, and I think some people genuinely looked at both guys and they felt like that Shawn Porter had some, you know, that he had some advantages that he could better take advantage of and win this fight. There were some people who really truly believe that Bud Crawford can't take a shot, and they felt like Shawn Porter, regardless of his knockout ratio, would land a shot on Bud that he wouldn't be able to recover from. And with Shawn being the type of person that jumps on somebody, they probably felt like that he would be able to capitalize. You know, and you know, I mean, everybody looks at things differently. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure many Errol fans picked, you know, Porter to win the fight, and I'm sure if you hate Bud Crawford, you pick the other guy. But me, if I hated Bud Crawford and I thought Errol Spence destroys him, I'd be hoping that he keeps winning and he gets fed to Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, but I don't hate none of these fighters. But I'll be honest, I don't care for Canelo, but I'm not hoping that he goes out there and lose to some lower tier guy. If just say, for instance, if there was a fight on the horizon with him and somebody that I really felt like he'd been avoiding and I thought they could beat him, and he's fighting some lower tier guy, not necessarily lower tier. I don't mean that. I don't want to sound like I'm calling Porter lower tier. Just say somebody who is not favored to beat him. And then I wouldn't be pulling for that person to beat him and derailing the fight against the guy that I want to see him fight, because I want that guy to get the glory with being able to destroy Canelo, or even just to beat him. You know what I'm saying? But that's the way I look at it. But everybody looks at things differently, so that don't mean that's just because I look at it that way that they do. Sometimes, sometimes hate means that they don't want to see anything good happen for the guy, so they don't care how something goes out of the norm for him or how it gets derailed. DB said Trey X definitely calls it down the middle. Yeah, I think Trey X does a phenomenal job calling fights, man. I've listened to a lot of people on YouTube call fights. Of course, I listen to all the run-of-the-mill talking heads on these networks call fights. And to me, just my opinion, I think Trey X does a phenomenal job and does just as good, if not a better job, than everybody else that's calling fights right now. Definitely on YouTube, he's definitely my favorite to listen to. Yeah, that was the Mo Hooker versus Virgil Ortiz. Thank you, DB, for confirming that for me, because I definitely don't I don't remember certain things, saying the best sometimes. Wu 36 said, I think of that pic Errol posted talking about Clown. He showed he's one of them last. Yeah, I don't know the pic, Wu. If you can refresh my memory on that. I don't remember the pic. I'm not on, even though I got Instagram and Twitter, like I almost never go on Twitter. I just forget about it, And on Instagram, the only reason I go on there because I get notifications sometimes to my phone that tell me that somebody liked something I posted or somebody sent me a message. So I go on there and I'll spend about 20 minutes on there, and then I might not go on there again for 2 weeks. Sometimes I'll put content on here and then I'll make I may share like my thumbnail on Instagram or something. I might try to share the video or something like that. It's just one of those things. I just don't spend a whole bunch of time on it, not because I think, saying that it's beneath me or something like that. I'll be honest with you, man. Like I'm still learning like how to really get the most out of, these platforms like Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. Like I post stuff on Twitter and I'll be like excited about it. But it's not lately, but when I used to first go to Twitter, I'd be like, oh yeah, man, people gonna like this, and man, nobody saw it. Nobody would see it. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll sit there for months and it don't show that anybody's ever came through and hit thumbs up or nothing. So I was like, man, I'm just wasting my time. And it's probably something I'm doing wrong. Somebody just G Funky Boxing is saying what's up to me. Hey, what's up, G Funky? Mark Nash, what up to the fan? Hey, what's going on, Mark Nash? What's up, fam? Wu 36 said, no more Bob and no more that top ranked Toby BS. Now what they gonna, man, I tell you, man, I hated that top ranked Toby talk. And it ain't because it was Bud, man. I mean, I just hate to hear people talk like that, man. But everybody, these are grown people, you know what I'm saying? I can't tell people how to talk. I just don't like hearing that nonsense, for my own personal reasons, you know what I'm saying? But everybody, is on something else. But I always said, you know what I'm saying, it's hard for me to be overly critical of a guy who is getting a what's reported as a really nice guarantee, and that he's happy with the money he's making. He's complaining about not getting certain fights, and I understand that from some people's vantage point, they say that that's his own doing. But I also also know that there's a lot of misinformation out there about how everything came about with Bud restructuring his deal and extending with Top Rank and all that. It's not as cut and dry as a lot of people think it was. And a lot of people feel like his contract was up and he just re-signed with Top Rank. That's, if you listen to what people say, that's pretty much what, how it's reported or how it's conveyed, is that, oh, he could have left Top Rank and he decided to re-sign with him. And in reality, he wasn't really up. The fight wasn't really, his contract wasn't up. But you know what I'm saying? And at the time that he restructured his deal was the same time that ESPN was getting back in the Top Rank business. So and that whole ESPN Plus app was kind of the feather in the cap that they was like, they were gonna put Bud on that app and this, that, and the other. A lot of things just didn't work out the way they thought it would. But at the end of the day, I'm glad if he's done with Top Rank, and I know that's what he said last night, that Bob couldn't get in the Spence fight, and when he was with him, and so he doesn't feel like Bob can get in the Spence fight, now. So, you know, he's kind of like wishing everybody the best and just moving on. And he talked about, he also talked about, what did he say? You know, Bob spoke about it and said, you know, this might have been before or after, I can't remember. And I heard Bob say this before too recently, but Bob talked about that he liked to do, you know, he liked to do one-offs with Bud here and there, you know, 1 to 2 fights, you know, if he could get the big fights made for him, and they just sign and do those fights, and then Bud's right back in the mix to just go to wherever he can get the most money. You know, and he talked about the fact that when Tommy Hearns was with him and Leonard was with him, and I think he mentioned Hagler, that those guys never really had long-term deals with Top Rank, but they did a lot of fights with Top Rank on a fight-by-fight basis, and they made a lot of money. And you know, and that may have a lot to do with why those guys made the kind of money they made, because those guys in the 80s made money that a lot of these fighters today, even and I'm not even factoring in inflation, they still haven't made those type of paydays to date. I mean, you could throw like the kind of money that Leonard and Hearns made. You could take some of these fighters and put them together, and they ain't made that kind of money for a single fight. But you know, so I do understand what Bob's saying, and I'm not a Bob fan at all. But there's some truth to what he's saying about, you know, Bud being in a position where he could just, you know, see who's gonna give him the most money for what fight, and then take that fight, and he'd be a fool not to field any offers that are out there for him. Y'all saluting each other out. Mark Nash telling me, thanks for all the love and support. I shared your link to my community tab. Hey man, thanks for doing that, man. I hope hopefully some people come in here that, you know what I'm saying, that like what they hear and decide they want to you know, want to be active in the chat, and maybe decide they want to stick around and subscribe to the channel and come back. Hey y'all, if you didn't, I'm gonna be on for a while. I actually thought I was gonna have to leave at 8:30 to go pick my son up from work. He texted me and said he's not getting off for a while, so I'm able to stay on for a bit longer. So if anybody, at least I stay on at least until probably 9, or maybe at least until 8:45. If anybody wants to get on, just let me know. I'll drop a link in the chat. I think I can figure out how to do that again. I've done it before. The narrative, okay, Rob Stewart saying the narrative has been Bud don't hit hard enough. Bud is chinny because he got rocked by Gamboa 7 years ago at 135, shaking my head. Y'all keep thinking that. Yeah, I've spoken on that ad nauseum, man, about the 135 thing and about Gamboa. I mean, man, for those little weights, Gamboa could crack, man. Gamboa was just a guy that, you know, even before he fought Bud, I think Gamboa probably had been on the canvas about 7 times. In all of those fights, Gamboa got up and won. Either he won by knockout or he won probably by wide UD. You know, Gamboa was just, I mean, man, Gamboa was undressing cats back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And I was like the biggest Gamboa hater. I didn't like Gamboa's strut. I didn't like the way he walked around the ring with his hands by his side like he was dapping. I was like, man, who is this dude? He think he turbo from breaking or something? You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, overly critical of the dude, man. I did not, you know what I'm saying? I had a coworker, me and him used to talk all the time, and I'd be like, man, I can't wait till somebody beat that little cocky joker. And man, it just got to a point that I was like, man, I gotta stop hating on this little dude. This little dude fight. You know, and then of course later on I found out some personal stuff about him and hardships and him selling his gold medal to give his daughter a birthday party and all that, man. And this is like, at that point, I'm like, man, how can I hate on this dude? You know, so now, you know, Gamboa is one of the guys that I've actually done like a tribute video for on my channel. Of course, it don't really have any highlights of content. It's just me speaking from the heart about, you know, how I feel about Gamboa as a fighter and how I feel about those who disrespect him. You know, and it didn't have anything to do with Bud Crawford. But yeah, I think that Gamboa dropping Bud Crawford, not dropping him, but hurting Bud Crawford at 135 is nothing to like get over. It's nothing to overreact about. That was just always my opinion on it. Mark Nash said, if Max Kellerman or Skip Bayless called him Toby, y'all would want them fired. Yeah, I mean, exactly, man. That's why I like, man, I don't, things that I'm going to be critical of other people for saying and doing, I try not to do and say myself. You know, I fall short of that sometimes because I'm not perfect. You know, we're all imperfect people living in an imperfect world, so we're gonna misstep here and there. But I try not to do and say things that I wouldn't want, that I would be outraged if somebody else done or said, so to speak. Mike James 616, what up, everybody? What up, though, everybody? Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for stopping by, man. Salute to you. I know you could be somewhere else, but you decided to stop by and, you know what I'm saying, mess with me, so I appreciate that. Y'all talking to each other. All right, Wu said, Bud crushed the other side of the street and now runs all the blocks like Nino Brown. Errol was screaming like, Pookie, help me. He's gonna kill me. Yeah, Bud. Hey, you remember Bud said when they was talking about sides of the street, when Bud first kind of moved up to 147, he said, ain't no sides of the street. I run the whole block. And people, you know, everybody had something to say about that. You know, I thought that was funny. You know what I'm saying? I didn't agree that he runs the whole block, but I like him talking like that because that should be your mentality. You know, and I'm a piggyback off of that comment or statement and say, like, I don't like these guys, these boxers talking about other boxers are the best in the world. Like I heard Devin Haney make a post, or no, he was on an interview with those DAZN guys, and he said he think he's the best fighter in the world. And then when Canelo Alvarez went out there and beat Caleb Plant, he said Canelo is the best ML fighter in the world. And I was like, I thought you were the best fighter in the world. Did he change your mind about yourself? You know, so I don't really like that, man. I understand giving people their respect and giving them their props, but man, if you feel the way you feel about yourself, man, don't let nobody else, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if I say I think I'm the best dad in the world, and I see that somebody else went out and done something like super impressive for their kids, I ain't gonna say, well, yeah, man, that dude's the best father in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna still feel like I'm the best dad in the world. You know, I just, you know, I'm doing what I can with my resources, you know. 503 line. Hey, what's up, man? Salute you, buddy. Mark Nash. Okay, so this y'all talking to each other. Marlowe's Corner, my man, done stopped by. Hey, y'all, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Marlowe's in here, man. I want to say something because, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of, like me doing these live streams is something I'm just now starting to do. Marlowe was the one who kept pushing me. And I'm not saying this to toot my horn like y'all are, you know what I'm saying, lucky that y'all are able to hear me talk live on a live stream and to be here, nothing like that. Don't take it that way. I'm just saying that if it wasn't for Marlowe encouraging me and Marlowe constantly inviting me on their panel to kind of get me out of my, you know what I'm saying, out of my shell or my comfort zone or just dropping videos and just moving on, I wouldn't be doing live streams, you know what I'm saying? And even when I had things that I didn't kind of, like I was like, man, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how that works. You know, Marlowe was like, man, if you reach out to me, I'll help you with it. You know what I'm saying? If you get stuck on something, I'll help you. You know, so I just want to say, you know, in front of y'all that, man, I really appreciate Marlowe for everything he's done to help me in my channel. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, you know, I'm always over there supporting Marlowe. You know what I'm saying? Because there have been a lot of cats that, you know what I'm saying, that I done, you know what I'm saying, interacted with on this YouTube stuff. And, you know what I'm saying, I got to say that, you know what I'm saying, Marlowe is one that's been consistently the same no matter what. You know what I'm saying? We disagree. We might disagree, cuss each other out. You know what I'm saying? Call each other names. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to these fighters, like he might be like, oh, man, you just protecting Bud Crawford. Man, Bud can't do no wrong. And I might say the same thing to him about Spit. But at the end of the day, we respect each other. You know what I'm saying? And we can respectfully disagree and we can move on from it and talk about other stuff. So I just want to say that about Marlowe. Salute to all the real ones in the chat. Mark Nash saying Marlowe got a dope channel. Hey, yeah, man. And also, you know, guys like Mark Nash, y'all that do live streams and let me on your panels, man, and, you know, and basically treated me like family from the gate, man. I appreciate that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I come through, you know what I'm saying? Some of y'all guys don't know me from a can of paint. They never heard me, you know, ain't never seen my contact, didn't see my content, didn't know I was making videos or nothing. And then I come through and, you know what I'm saying, I'm like, hey, man, can I get on the panel? You know what I'm saying? Hey, no problem. You know, and let me get on and give me a voice, you know what I'm saying? Give me an opportunity to, you know, to express, you know what I'm saying, to better express what I'm trying to convey in the chat. Because sometimes when we're in this chat, man, just trying to type, it's hard to say what you're saying because people don't really understand. You know, like you can't gauge emotion by what somebody's texting. You can't gauge intent sometimes. That's just like I don't like texting people when we can talk because a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, like sometimes stuff get misunderstood through text. So, you know, a lot of time with that, you know what I'm saying, I'd rather be talking if I can, you know what I'm saying? Like I could be in the chat saying something and it totally get misunderstood. And I'll be like, man, drop me a link. And it ain't because I want to get on and talk noise. It's because I want to get on and just make sure that I'm understood that, you know, what you think I'm trying to say probably ain't what you thought I was saying. What I was actually saying, I mean. Wu said, toot that horn, DLowe, you deserve it, big homie. Yeah, man. I just, like I said, man, I'm not a you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not really the type person to kind of be braggadocious. Like I don't even like with picks and stuff, man. I ain't the I told you so type of dude. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's somebody I'm just joking with because they, you know, like take for instance, one of my subscribers, Derek Bailey. I don't know if y'all know him. Derek Bailey's always come through, man. He's a big boxing fan. But he, you know, he came through Friday after I made my prediction video and told me he was gonna be ready to serve me a big plate of crow. So I told him, you know what I'm saying, just go ahead and take care of that plate of crow yourself if fight go the other way. So I definitely came back after the fight and responded to his comment and said, no, you eat that crow or something like that. But I ain't the type person to just be like, yeah, man, I told y'all this, I told y'all that. I knew this, I knew that. You know, I don't do all that nonsense. People expected Errol to act a donkey after the fight, but that's not going to get, man, DB, thank you. That, I mean, realistically, man, that's all I'm saying. Like, I don't, hey, look, I'm gonna give y'all a prime example. Do y'all remember when Deontay Wilder knocked out Arthur Spilka and Tyson Fury was in the arena and Fury was in the crowd and he got, you know, it's like Fury act like, to me, this is what I felt like Fury was going through. I felt like Fury was, and even some of his statements kind of elaborated they kind of what's the word I'm looking for? They kind of confirmed my suspicion. Fury kind of seemed like he was upset because people were going crazy about how Wilder knocked out Spilka, but he had just beat Klitschko a little while earlier and won the other 3 belts, and people really weren't just going crazy about it. So he got in the ring and he started showing his ass and was like, you know, I beat Klitschko, you bum. You know, it was like a WWE promo. You know what I'm saying? And he was talking about, you know, he beat him like he beat Klitschko, and you know, he was like, you know, he just wasn't impressed by him knocking out Spilka and all, you know, and all of that happened, and it didn't get us any closer to a fight between them two guys. We ended up having to wait all them years later after Fury done left the sport, you know, and everything he went through and Wilder brought him back before we ever got that fight. So, you know, I don't be on that, you know what I'm saying? I don't be on that type of stuff, man, where I just gotta see a guy get in the ring and act a fool or, you know what I'm saying, any of that stuff. And even more so, man, we saw Pacquiao get in the ring with Spence Jr. and it took a couple years before that fight got made. You know, when Spence was calling for the fight next, and it just didn't happen. So, and I'm not making no excuses for Errol Spence for not getting in the ring, but I'm just saying he wasn't obligated to do so. And you know what I'm saying? And like I said, man, if it ain't about getting the fight any closer to being made and it ain't about making the fight, I don't care if it happens or doesn't. That's boxing talk and not fanboyism. Yes, sir. Hey, Bruce Gold, salute, man. Salute to you. Who is that? Is that who is that on that avatar? It's kind of hard to see his looks. Is that Ron Lyle or I don't know who that is. Hey, Bruce Gold, let me know who that is on your avatar. DB Georgia's finest coming through. Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you, bro. You a real one. Hey, I appreciate that, Marlo. Errol needed to do what he said he was going to do and step to Bud inside that ring. Instead, we got a world speed a world speed walking record out there in the arena. Man, you ain't going to let up on the brother, huh? I don't know. I didn't hear Errol say he was going to get in the ring. I promise you I didn't. But I remember when I heard that he was going to the fight, I said that. It's on my channel. I said, I want to see him get in the ring. I want to see this. I want to see that. But ultimately, I want them to be trying to make the fight. If they're not going to try to make the fight, it's a waste of time. You know, so yeah, I understand, man. And I think fans in that arena, I'm sure they wanted him to get in the ring. Bro, you always welcome on Breaking Beats anytime. You always provide an intelligent point of view. Hey, thanks, man. You know, you know how it is. You can't get everywhere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of channels I support go live at the same time, so I have to try to pick and choose where I can, you know what I'm saying, here and there. Like, oh, I was on this channel that day. Let me stop by and check these people out. Let me stop by. And there's a lot of channels that I just got to the point that I said I can't continue to, you know what I'm saying, keep going over there to these channels and stuff, man. And, you know what I'm saying, I feel like I spend time on channels that, you know, so I'm big on reciprocity, man. I'll just put it like that. So, you know what I'm saying, I have to, you know, I've gotten a little more selective with where I spend my time and who I give my energy to. And, you know, with that being the case, I just, you know, and then there's also times that I just, you know what I'm saying, like I'm just not on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? I have to do what's important to me outside of this. Okay. Marlo said that 2 times. Hey, Marlo wants y'all to know that I really am a real one, you know. He said that twice. I'm just messing with y'all. Maybe he was talking to somebody else, but if he wouldn't, you know, so I definitely take that. You know, I try to be real. I try to be real in everything I do. Peace to my brother Derek Bailey. Yeah, DB knows Derek Bailey. Yeah, hey DB. Fun fact: I actually thought you and Derek Bailey were the same person until I started. You know what I'm saying? Until I started hearing you on Fred's channel, and I was like, oh, that, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, that's a different dude. You know what I'm saying? Until I started seeing that you were, you know, over there with him and making content, and then you started making your own content. Then I realized that you weren't Derek Bailey. Bruce Gold says salute. Okay, y'all shouting each other out. Klitschko versus Fury was so boring. Man, that was like one of the most boring fights ever, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a fight though, you know. And you know, it had to happen. But yeah, that was a horrible fight. Well, I've never watched that fight again. I've never watched it. I've never watched the replay of it. And I'll tell y'all, there's some other fights I've never watched. Like I've never watched Triple G versus Canelo 1 again. I watched the second fight multiple times. The first fight, I never watched it again because I was so disappointed in the fight. And I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but when I watched Triple G versus Canelo 1, that fight, the way Triple G and Canelo were talking going up to that fight, the fight didn't play out that way. So I was just disappointed that the fight. Hey, I got it right. Then I said that was wrong. Did I say Ron Lyle, Bruce Gold? Is that who I said I thought it was? Yeah, I got some autographed Ron Lyle memorabilia. I might actually put. Yeah, I'm gonna do a trivia giveaway on this channel one day. Just you know, so I'm gonna do a live stream and then I'm just gonna ask a trivia question. You know, probably toward the end of the live stream. So hopefully I make people stay with me, or they'll just come back at the end. But either way, yeah, I'll do I'm gonna ask a trivia question and I'll give away. I'll probably give away either like some channel merchandise, or I'll do some autograph memorabilia or something like that, some boxing memorabilia, or you know what I'm saying, or something. You know what I'm saying. Last time I did on Marlo's Corner, I gave away a tactical backpack that Lala D. I know most of y'all know who that is. She won the backpack. She actually made a video, kind of like an unboxing video, but she didn't unbox it. She had already unboxed it, and she kind of had added her own little touch to it, and she really made it look fancy. And she basically did like a commercial for the bag. You know what I'm saying? She was talking about how much she loved the bag. Of course, she gave me and you know, Marlo and Trey X, you know what I'm saying, a lot of gratitude and appreciation, and you know what I'm saying. But my point is, I will be doing, you know what I'm saying, a couple giveaways here and there as I do these live streams, just to kind of, you know, as an appreciation to the fans, but also, you know, kind of to help, you know, bolster the channel some, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't giving away no, you know, nothing worth a whole ton of money, but you know what I'm saying, the stuff that I do give away, especially if it's boxing memorabilia, best believe it's something to me. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying, I like, you know, I give it something. Y'all, I feel like the people who come here to this channel are people who can appreciate it. So I don't mind, you know what I'm saying, giving that away. But it won't be my best stuff. Lennar Thomas, salute, man. Hey, salute, Lennar. I hadn't seen you around, man. I've been wondering about you, to be honest, because I know you used to be on the panel with me over on Main, man, a couple times, and you know, you always bring good conversation to the topics, and you know, always have a good dialogue, man. So it's good to see you in the chat, man. I hope everything's going well for you. Bruce Gold said, "Run loud." Okay, y'all shouting each other out. Bruce Gold there, yeah. Bruce Gold gets around, Martin Nash. He's definitely one of those people that almost no matter where you go, you're gonna see him in the chat, you know, contributing. Gil Coles, play the flute. Salute, man. Salute, Gil Coles. Gil, you got your boy your Thurman. You got Thurman lined up with a fight yet? You know, inquiring minds want to know. Bruce goes. That's one of the benefits of retirement. Yeah, I was just about to say that, Bruce. I think you're retired, and you know what I'm saying. That's, hey man, I'm happy for you that you know what I'm saying, that you are retired and active and able to do things, and you know, so I hope I hope all of us who are younger and want to get to that point and are still in the workforce and want to reach retirement, I hope we all make it there one day and get to enjoy it and be happy and happily retired and fruitful in retirement or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Wu 36 said, "No, my foot is gonna my foot is gonna stay on the gas on Arrow. We've been dragged out as fans for far too long now. Make the fight happen, Crawford, man. That's what I'm on. That's what I'm on, man. Make the fight. I mean, man, boxing keeps doing this, man. There's so many times that we have these fights right there, and it's like, no, let's let them build. Let's let them build. Because that's all that's been happening, man. They've been stalling this fight for the sake of building this fight up bigger and better. I think ultimately they wanted that fight to be an undisputed fight, but it didn't come to that, you know. Hyphy saying, I don't know what Hyphy said, but anyway, hey, salute Hyphy, salute, man. Welcome to the live. All right, y'all. I don't see anybody else in the comment section I hadn't addressed yet. I'm gonna stop on these comments for just a minute, and I want to talk. You know, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, because I had a couple little points I wanted to get on. So I want to hit on this you know, Porter retirement for just a moment, and I just want to say, you know, that Shawn Porter had a heck of a career, and I feel like that Shawn, you know, he deserves to retire from boxing and not have boxing retire him. Last night, I think I was on Main Man's live stream, and we talked about the subject, and I kind of was like, man, if you lose to one of the guys that is perceived to be the very best in the division, it's hard for me to say walk away, because you haven't proven that you can't, or it hasn't been proven to you that you know what I'm saying, that you just don't have it anymore. Because, you know what I'm saying, that there is a gulf between Formella, the guy Porter just beat over a year ago, and Terence Crawford. So there's a lot of fighters in between. But then today, as I listened to more of the footage that's been put up on YouTube from the press conference and stuff like that, Shawn talks about how he really planned on getting out of boxing around his early 30s, around 30, but he stuck around. He talks about how going into that Spence fight, he was already talking retirement, and that the Spence fight was going to be his last fight. But he did so well in the fight, he decided to keep fight on. And then, of course, he had the Formella fight. And then, of course, the Bud fight was presented. And, you know what I'm saying, he kind of went into this fight with the same mentality. Shawn talked about, you know, that he was planning on retiring regardless of the outcome of this fight. I can't say that, you know, if he had won, and if he had won the fight, and the Spence rematch was presented to him as a 3-belt unification bout, I don't think Shawn Porter walks away. But then again, this is all me on the outside looking in. It's speculation. You know, I can't say that Shawn, you know what I'm saying, would or wouldn't. I'm just saying what I think. But, you know, regardless of all of that, you know, we are where we are. Shawn is where he is, and he saw the door. And he decided that, you know, it was time to walk away from the sport. And I took my hat off to him as, you know, being a really good fighter who gave it his all every time out. And everybody that was in there with him, you know what I'm saying, they felt him. You know, that Shawn was, you know, the type of guy that he never, you know what I'm saying, he never really just got beat up by anybody. You know what I'm saying? And he was always, in there in every single fight, and you know what I'm saying, win, lose. He never had a draw, but I don't think he had a draw. Or did he get a draw with Diaz years ago? But either way, he might have had a draw with Julio Diaz, and they rematched it back. I remember thinking Julio Diaz beat him way back then. But anyway, my point is that Shawn was always, he's always was a guy that just went balls. He always just went all out in his fights. I was gonna say balls to the wall, but I didn't really want to say that, but I don't want y'all speculating what y'all thought I was gonna say, so I just went ahead and said it. But anyway, he really just, he really just always went all out in the ring, and he always seemed to be a professional when it came to the sport. He took the sport serious, took his craft serious, and I just got the best wishes for that guy going forward, and I just want to see him win in life and just win at whatever he's doing. I know I spoke on that to an extent earlier, but there are a lot more different people in the chat and more people in the chat now, so I just wanted to make sure that I re-emphasize that. We're already talking about the fight. We're talking about Spence and Bud and wanting to see that fight and the importance of getting that fight. One of the things I want to say about that fight, I'll go back to Gamboa, a fighter I talked about earlier. For those of you who were around and were paying attention back then, Gamboa and Juan Manuel Lopez were like the hottest fight for the little guys that could have been put on. One of the hottest fights. And it was a fight everybody was talking about, and they just kept on build. They're going to build a fight. They're going to let it marinate. And you had, I think, Wanama fought this guy named Rogers Mtagwa. Gamboa fought Salido. Wanama beat Mtagwa. Gamboa beat Salido. It was on the same card. The next fight card, Gamboa was fighting Mtagwa, and Wanama was fighting Salido. Gamboa beat Rogers Mtagwa pretty convincingly, and Wanama got stopped by Salido. And then he had a rematch. He got stopped again. And basically that was the end of all the talk about Wanama versus Yuri against Gamboa. And it was a classic case of letting the fight build too long, and one of the guys ended up getting beat. And also, if you think about, we all were able to witness Cotto versus Margarito, the first fight. A fight that I think most in the chat would agree was a really good boxing match, a really good fight. Of course, later on, we know there's some speculation about whether Margarito, had illegal hand wraps or whatever, loaded gloves in that fight as well. But what we saw that night was a really good fight that was like a classic. And that fight happened because both of those guys stepped to Bob Arum and said, I only want to fight him next. And the other guy said, I only want to fight him next. And they were both top-ranked fighters. Bob had other plans for the guys. He was trying to let the fight build. And those guys finally just put their foot down and was like, no, man, I want him. Cotto said he wanted Margarito. Margarito said he wanted Cotto. It was a stalemate. Bob had to put the fight on. And if you look at today, you have Valdez and Shakur, both top-ranked fighters. Both guys say they want to fight. And I made a video talking about it. I said if they want to fight, they need to be talking to Bob. Valdez doesn't need to be telling Shakur, send him offers and all that. They need to be, and vice versa. They need to go to Bob and say, hey, I only want that guy next. I hear what you're saying about these other people you want us to fight, but I don't want to fight these other people. I want to fight that guy. So, that's my opinion on what needs to happen in that situation. And it's, there have been, I just gave y'all cases of how that goes wrong, and even related that to the Spence versus Bud situation. And we saw the accident. Now we see the retina injury, and anything can happen at any given time. You just don't know. And these guys can get beat. None of these guys are unbeatable. I don't care who they are. I don't care who's a fan of them. I don't care who they beat. None of these guys are unbeatable. And none of these guys only have one fighter that can beat them either. You know what I'm saying? All these guys are beatable. It's just all about, somebody having, the right game plan on the right night, the right execution, and the other guy not being, as sharp or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it over and over and over in boxing. All right, y'all. So everybody's shouting each other out. As Marlo telling me that I deleted the first one, but you can't tell on screen. Oh, okay, I got you. So Marlo put up that I was like a super solid dude. Then he changed his mind. And then he put it back and said, "Yeah, you're pretty solid." He put it back. All right. So I see a whole lot of real ones in the building. Hey, yeah, I think so. I think so. I share your sentiment, Rob Stewart. I think there's a lot of real ones in this chat, and I appreciate them being here. Who's messaging me? Oh, some news alert. All right. So okay, y'all still shouting each other out. Thanks you too. You take hop-ons. Oh yeah. Lenore, I actually had asked a little while ago. I know you made this comment 10 minutes ago. I'm a little behind on the chat because I had to, dialogue a little bit. I actually had asked if anybody wanted to get on, and I was going to drop a link if anybody wanted to get on. Nobody said they wanted to get on, so I just didn't bother. So when the bud bashing begin Monday, hey, Gil Coles, you know what I'm saying? If somebody's if that's what somebody's into, they're already doing it. They didn't wait till Monday to start. They already started, you know what I'm saying? If that's what they're into. Just like, you know what I'm saying, if somebody's into giving Errol a hard time, they already started. God dog, Wu 36 said, "Do not let Lennar on." What the world? Oh, okay. I hope he's just joking. Yeah, man. Lennar ain't done nothing to me, man. I'm like, if you want to get on and talk a little boxing, man, he's welcome to it because he's welcome to do it because so I get tired of just hearing myself talk, even though I know some people probably don't believe that. But, I could talk forever about boxing, but you know what I'm saying? I'm really not that talkative of a person. Let me see. Gil, they already saying it was Mark Nash. That man, that one. I saw that, man. People talking about the fight was fixed. They were saying it last night. People, like I said earlier, people making accusations, excuse me, against Kenny that I will not even repeat. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not the biggest Kenny Porter fan, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not even gonna repeat that stuff, man. I can't do that because I wouldn't want to you know what I'm saying? I don't want to contribute to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't feed the troll. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to contribute to that. Gil Cole said, DLowe, we just talking about whether Porter was a gatekeeper or not a few months ago. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get to earlier. I think I kind of got off my train of thought is that Porter basically said that he didn't want to, he didn't see himself as a gatekeeper. He don't want to. That's not something he wants for himself. He don't want to be that guy. And this is just me adding on to what he said, but I interpreted that he didn't want to be that guy that is a stepping stone for somebody on the way up. You know what I'm saying? Or, a lot of people looked at it like, okay, he's the test for Bud Crawford to see if he really legit. Well, he don't want to be the guy that's a test for these young guys to see if they really legit. You know what I'm saying? So I think he kind of looked at it like when it comes to that point, it's time to get out of here. All right, y'all, I'm gonna get out y'all conversation. All right, so Lennar and Wu going back and forth. I'm gonna let them talk. I'm gonna stay out of. I'm gonna stay out of that. These grown folks talking. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all have y'all back and forth. Let me see. Hyphy. Blocked by your ISP. I don't know. I never know what Hyphy's saying. All right, let me trying to go by what people are saying. Yeah, or whatever. Key password. Trey X in the building. Hey, salute, Trey X. Salute. Man. Yeah, I ain't good at this, man. Like I was trying to actually put some frogs and whales in the comments, but I don't know how to do it from my laptop, for the keyboard. On the computer. I can do it if I was on my phone. Oh. But yeah, like I said, man, you know what I'm saying? Like me personally, Bud versus Errol, Hopefully the fight can happen very, very soon. Um, hopefully the fight happens very soon, and you know what I'm saying, I'm all for it, man. I feel like, you know, we waited long enough for this fight to happen. And if the fight, you know, if the fight doesn't happen, you know, soon, we every fight that happens in the interim, we run the risk of losing, you know, losing this fight. We run the risk of this fight not happening at all. So, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't take but one or two things to go wrong in a fight not take place, or a fight end up having to take place 5 years later down the road in another division and all that stuff. So, you know, I'm of the belief that, you know, we're well past time for this fight to actually take place. And I personally, you know, feel like we're long overdue. You know, we're a couple 3 years overdue on this fight happening. And I think it's best that we can go ahead and get this fight on sooner than later. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. Not everybody else is going to agree with me, and that's fine, but that's definitely how I feel, and it's definitely what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I definitely feel like we be entertained, we be in for a really good fight, and I think that boxing fans deserve for that fight to happen very soon. You know what I'm saying? And I personally feel like it's a can't miss fight. And however it plays out, you know, regardless of who wins the fight or whatever, that's not even, you know what I'm saying, what's most important to me. You know what I'm saying? What's important to me is that we get the fight. All right, so I'm about to let Lenore on. He wanted to hold on. Logic says, let me read this comment right quick. Logic says pre-crash Spence Crawford was a toss-up. Post-crash got Spence, especially since got Crawford, especially since Spence showing up to fight drunk. Yeah, I don't know what condition he shows up in fights at. I just, you know, but if he's not living a fighter lifestyle, you know what I'm saying, it definitely takes a toll on any of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Look at Kovalev. You know, I'm gonna throw Kovalev out there. You know, look at Kovalev. All right, Lamar, you in the building, man. What you got on your mind, man?
My boy DLowe 404 Boxing, brother salute. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, man. What's up
Hey,
with you?
first, I want to say thank you for letting me on your panel, man. And even in disagreement as grown men, if we have disagreement, at the end of the day, we have mutual respect for each other and we can agree to disagree respectfully.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just address this real quick about okay, so what I thought about the fight. I like the fight, high competitive action, two world class athletes going at it. It was very entertaining for as long as it lasted. Um, I thought the stoppage was a little premature, in my opinion, by Kenny Porter. I thought that he could at least give him one more round, go, see if he can get knocked down or stopped or whatever. I think Shawn Porter has proven to be a very consummate professional. And so, I believe he deserved one more chance to see because I thought he would have recovered. But hey, who knows? We never know. With that being said, I congrats for Crawford to be able to be the first one to stop Mr. Terence Bud Crawford. Excuse me, Terence Bud Crawford be the first one to stop Shawn Porter. That hasn't been done. So, with that being said, I do want to see the Spence and Crawford fight. And from what I saw from Bud, it was a great performance, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, if he gets in a firefight like that with Spence, I see Spence knocking him out. I mean, I just, styles make fights. And I just seen that it was because I actually had Porter up prior to the stoppage and the knockdowns in the 10th round. So if I see Spence, especially if he gets a tune-up, I see Spence knocking him out in an egg because I believe that fight's going to be a war because I believe Spence is going to press with his boxer puncher style and Crawford's going to not take it. And you're going to see them get into a firefight. And when you see them get into a firefight, I believe that Spence is going to get the best of those exchanges. And I do think a knockout's going to happen because just stylistically.
Yeah. I mean, that's one way to look at it. You know, at the end of the day, man. You know my biggest takeaway from everything you said is I think, right. And the reason you have to say you think, you know why that is?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we still haven't got the fight yet.
Yeah,
You
true.
know, so to me, I look at it this way. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm tired of having fantasy fight conversations with other boxing fans about fights that should have already happened, or about fights that should be that coming down the pipe, should be coming down the assembly line. You know, how that fight plays out is how it's going to play out. You know, it's fun to hear people's opinion on it. I respect your take on it. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree, but I could be totally wrong. You know what I'm saying? But what bothers me is not that you feel how you feel about it. What bothers me is that we still got to talk about how it could play out. You
True.
know, I like that conversation when the fight's next. You know, like I enjoyed talking with people about Porter and Spence. I mean, excuse me, Porter. Yeah, Porter and Spence when that fight was made. I enjoyed talking about it with people when Porter and Crawford was made and going back and forth about how the fight was going to play out. Even though all we could do was wait and see, it was fun going back and forth about it, and then we get to see who's wrong. And
True.
I hope that we're not years away or a year away or 8 months away from finding out who can actually win, who will win between between Crawford and Spence, because I'm not even going to say to find out who's the better fighter, because sometimes the better fighter doesn't always win on fight night, but he's the better fighter that night.
Very true. Very
So
true.
I feel like, what I'm saying, there are a lot of things that I could see that plays in the favor of one guy, and then there are other things I can see that plays in the favor of the other guy. And there's a lot of variables when you talk about this fight, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what we're going to get from both guys when they get in the ring, in terms of what they have of themselves. Because I always say, if you listen to my channel any amount of time, I say all the time that these guys are not the same fighter from one fight to another. Every fight takes something out of you. Every camp takes something out of you, and it puts something in you. And it's just, it's I always, what I'm saying, I always equate it to football, where you will have a team go out on a Saturday and play another team that's supposed to be their equal, and they'll go out there and run them off the field. The next
And
Saturday, they play a team that they're supposed to run over, and
and
they end up winning in overtime.
and yeah, and DLowe, do you consider that a duck if Errol Spence says, you know what, I need a tune up or I need to get an easier test before I go into a high level competition with somebody another champ, another like a Terence Crawford, who's viewed as the first or second best welterweight, depending on who you talk to?
Listen,
Do you consider that a duck?
man. With Errol coming off of that eye injury, if Josecito Lopez called Errol Spence Jr. out and he said that I think I want to fight my mandatory. Just say, and I'm not saying one guy's better than the other. I'm just hypothetically speaking. If he
Yeah.
told Josecito Lopez, no, I think I better fight my IBF mandatory, you're a little bit too, you're not the type of guy I want to get in there with right after this surgery. I can only
Exactly.
respect that.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna call that a duck. Now, what I will say is,
Thank you, sir.
and no problem. And let me say this: like, I've been on people's live streams with Errol, not only when he had the crash, but when he had the eye injury thing, and I said, that I want to see Errol come back and take a soft touch, because this is a potential career-ending injury.
Yes.
I said the same thing about the car crash, right?
Yes.
And I had people tell me, they basically acted like I was man, like basically I'm a soft heart, or I'm a sucker or something, because I'm saying that.
You know what's so crazy about that? And let me tell you something. And this is kind of segues into a lot of people in the comment sections. They don't like what I have to say, and because I'm very opinionated, but I'm very consistent, and I'm a man of character, and I give credit where credit is due. A lot of people don't like that. I'm the grain. I'm the grain in this. I'm the rock in the shoe. They don't like, and it rubs them the wrong way. And I understand that. A lot of what I have to say may be controversial, but that's okay. I'm not lived to be approved by others. With that being said, I said if Spence goes in there and fights next, to me, that's a 50-50. Because, again, like you said, I have to be realistic here. I have to bet with my brain here. A man coming off of possibly the longest layoff, or second longest layoff, or a year layoff, and an eye injury, which is one of the worst things you can get in boxing. Can I comfortably say, do I think he beats him? I said I can't comfortably say that. It could go either way. But like I said, if it's Errol Spence at 100% healthy, tuned up, and we know his eyes okay, ready to go, then I do believe he beats him. Is that unreasonable? Is that unreasonable because I said I believe those things? No, DLowe, what you said was not unreasonable. That makes perfect sense. Anybody who can use logic, reason, rationale, and common sense would know that. But they, like you said, they say you're a soft heart. They say that's not. And I would say the exact same thing if Terence Bud Crawford or any other fighter was in the same scenario this was in. Because I don't want any excuses when they do fight that, oh, okay, you know, he was coming off of a year and an eye injury. Because I guarantee you, if they did hop in the ring right now and Bud beat Spence, you would have that excuse. You would have that excuse. They would say, "Oh, after a year and an eye injury, he wasn't the same."
Let me ask you a question about that.
Go ahead.
Because I'm pretty sure I'm correct in believing that you're an Errol Spence fan, right?
I'm not a fan of any boxer,
Well,
but I am.
okay, but I'm saying
man.
you're not saying that you're only his fan, but you're a fan of him as a fighter.
Let me say, I say like I'm not a fan of any man because when you become a fan, then you become illogical. I'm a supporter. I am a supporter of Errol Spence Jr. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna ask you this question, and I'm a preface it before I ask. Okay, so we all saw Errol Spence Jr. versus Kell Brook, right?
Yes.
We all saw Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook.
Yes.
Okay. We know that there were people who picked Kell Brook to beat Bud Crawford, and I don't know that you know this, but there are people in the chat who know this. That there were people who picked Kell Brook to stop Bud Crawford, and then when Bud Crawford went out and beat him, they basically said Kell Brook was a shot fighter.
That is true. There were people who said that, but I wasn't the person who said that.
Right. I know. I'm not saying that. I'm just using that for an example. It's just kind of supporting the question I'm about to ask you. All right. We know that Kell Brook had 2 fractured orbital bones that had to be repaired years before he fought Bud.
Yes.
Okay, when Errol Spence Jr. fought Kell Brook, he had just fought Triple G. He moved up 2 weight classes, got his eye socket broke, had to come back down when he was already busting at the seams at 147. And he had to come back down to 147, defend his title, fresh off of that surgery, right?
Yes.
Do you think that Kell Brook should have taken a tune-up fight before he fought Errol Spence Jr. to see where his eye was? To see where he was as a fighter with all those things considered.
And let me be honest. Yes, he should have. If I'm Kell Brook and I'm a fighter, I'm gonna come back down in weight to face an up-and-comer, a dangerous who can possibly be a 50-50 fight or somebody who could possibly beat me. Yes, I would say yes, he should have. Did he do that? No, he did not. And I'm not one to say that Kell Brook was at 100% when he fought Spence, but I do think he was a little bit better when he fought Spence than when Crawford fought Kell Brook.
So you think the guy coming off of fresh surgery, hadn't had a fight to test his face, and then came down 2 weight classes, was a better version than the guy years after that. Years removed.
Let me tell you, you say that on one end, but you have to look at it on the other end. This is the same Kell Brook that told you who had not competed at welterweight in almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was struggling to make weight beforehand. And we all know it's harder to come back down in weight than it is to go up.
Yep.
So with that being said, especially Kell Brook getting up there, that was not a smart thing. And he had both orbital bones broken. Mm-hmm. And we also have to take this into account here. Where was their opponents at? Spence, that was his first title fight. He was still learning on a job. He went into the man's home country and beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And let's take Crawford. Crawford was a world-seasoned professional. He was already acclimated to the welterweight division, and he was a champion who had multiple defenses. Correct or incorrect?
Yeah, and I'm not debating which was the better win or which was the better version of Brook. I just simply wanted, because you made me think about it when you said it's about Errol not getting in there against a top tier guy under those circumstances, and it made me think about Kell Brook and what he decided to do. And don't get me wrong, Errol did what he was supposed to do. Errol didn't make him go up to fight Triple G. I personally felt like at the time, and even in retrospect, I still feel the same way. I felt that Kell Brook went up to fight Triple G because Triple G was a more acceptable loss. It was an explainable loss if you go up to fight Triple G, who's knocking everybody out at middleweight. And it is a risk versus reward thing. Like, the reward is great, the risk is great, but if you go up there and lose, just like when Khan fought Canelo, anything that you do well in that fight is going to be a feather in your cap, even if it ends bad for you. I just think that fight is where Kell Brook's career was never the same. And you know what I'm saying? And yeah, he had some good wins between Bud and Spence, but he never was on that level again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or between Spence and Bud, rather.
Yes.
Because Spence came first. I don't think he ever the guys he fought in between, even at 54, were not of that level, you know. So we just, you know, it's kind of like he ruined his career when he went up there and fought Triple G. So my take on it is I don't think either guy got the best version of Kell Brook that they could have got. And you know, regardless of where they were in their respective careers at the time, I feel like the version of Kell Brook that Shawn Porter got was a whole lot better version of Kell Brook than either of those guys fought.
And I agree that you can make a perfect argument that was the best, most prime version of Kell Brook that we saw. And like I said, do I think that Kell Brook was 100% when he fought Earl? No, I don't. And I only give him semi credit. I don't give him full credit for it because, again, what Kell Brook was coming off of. But I don't give the only credit I give Crawford for beating that version of Kell Brook is the fact that he stopped him early. I thought the fight would go a little later than that. He probably stopped him around like 8 or something like that. So I give him credit for knocking him out and turning the tables like that. But
yeah, I give him credit because he overcame adversity. Like you just said, turn the table. So, you know, that, and to me, that says that, you know, it says a little bit about Kell Brook is that because Kell Brook was in that fight until he wasn't. You know, so
exactly. He just
that don't mean that he was in his prime again. That don't mean that he had turned back the clock. That don't mean that he had found a fountain of youth or anything like that. But on that given night, he was there until he wasn't.
And exactly. And you notice that and I can tell that his facial structure was never the same because when Crawford hit him with that perfect like uppercut jabbish thing he did, or hookish thing he did, you could see that when he hit him, like his face was just gone.
Well, you know what, man?
Crawford hit him in the right spot.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I kind of think you have to, you know, that's akin to somebody having had some kind of operation, whether they had some kind of, you know, something added or whatever, but it's like they had this one spot that's susceptible. And it's like if anything happens to them, you know what I'm saying, on that one particular spot, whether that be, you know, some surgical repair spot or some spot where they had some artificial something inserted, that it's never the same. And I felt like in that particular moment, Crawford hit him at the exact spot that he could not take a shot.
Yeah, and completely disoriented him.
Yeah.
Completely, you can tell the way he didn't know where he was at.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, let me read the chat for a minute. I've been ignoring the chat for a minute. Let me read what they're saying. Golly, I gotta go back up a long way. You don't like. All right, man. I'm not gonna read these comments. Y'all going back and forth with each other about this and all that. I don't want to get into all that. Rather be okay. There's Trey X saying salute when he came in the building. Here's Gil Cole. I don't think I read this yet. All in all, it was a great competitive fight, though I was more entertained with Bud versus Porter than EJ versus Porter, even without the stoppage. Styles make fights. Yeah, Styles definitely make fights. And sometimes, you know, we kind of are creatures of the moment. You know, I can't, like, I'll be honest. I'll say this about that fight is that it when it happened, now Porter versus EJ isn't as fresh in my mind anymore. You know, like before this fight, I could, you know, it's almost like I could just go to my mind and remember a lot of things about Porter versus EJ. Now it's like because this fight happened, I don't remember it as well, so I would have to go back and refresh myself on it. Okay, y'all shouting each other out. Trey X said, I went back and watched the fight again. Crawford was very impressive. Yeah, Trey X, you always tend to go back and look at fights and when you're not calling them, because I know that's a chore calling those fights, man. And I really appreciate what you do and what you bring to us and all the energy and effort you put into bringing those fights to life, especially for, you know, those of us who at times aren't looking at the broadcast, you know, because they're a lot.
Sorry, I was going to say real quick. Do you think that that both fighters last night, do you think they took some damage? You took that kind of took something out of them a little bit.
Well, Porter retired, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter because he has a life outside of boxing. But
yeah,
I mean, as for Crawford, man, to be honest, I know a lot of I may be in the minority, and I know I'm a fan of Bud Crawford, but I'm not gonna. I try not to put cables on nothing anybody does. I don't think Crawford was getting hit as clean as a lot of people thought he was, and I think his defense was a lot better than it looked upon first glimpse. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take but one or two punches to take something out of you. So I wouldn't say that nothing was taken out of him in that fight. I mean, he had to work. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't no easy win. I mean, and nobody ever had. Huh?
Sorry, I didn't say. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was on mute. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. So, with Shawn Porter, you know what I'm saying? Every round is a fight. So I definitely think, it probably took, it took something out of him. I don't know how much. I mean, but I don't know that there's nothing that he can't, that doesn't, won't come back in camp, and he can't, with rest and relaxation and rejuvenation won't be there for him. And that's DLowe Sports Talk sending Trey Frauds and Wells. Logic said pre-crash Spence Crawford was okay. I did read that earlier. Okay, this everybody showing Tregs. Folks over somebody walking the building. There's somebody they want to let them know. Hey, we appreciate you. Okay, Logic said besides Crawford, who gave Porter his toughest fight? Thurman, Spence, or Ugas, who some thought won? Logic, I'm gonna answer your question. I can't say toughest fight, but I will say, if you ask me who I feel like beat Shawn Porter the most impressively and the most clearly and concisively, I think it was Ugas, except for the fact that Bud stopped him. If you take away the stoppage, you know what I'm saying? If this fight had went 12 rounds, which you can't speak on, but let me just say this. Before this fight, I felt like Ugas had the clearest win over Shawn Porter, but unfortunately it wasn't a win. I feel like Ugas was clearly winning rounds, whereas other guys had a whole bunch of pick'em rounds against Porter. But ultimately, I was overruled by the official scoring. So, but I guess if a guy stops a guy, I have to say that was his toughest fight, because that was a fight in which he didn't reach the final bell.
But then you have to take into account as well. At the end, and again, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but again, I don't know how you feel about this, but I just believe that stoppage was a bit.
Oh yeah, I spoke on that before you got here, man. I'll reiterate it for you. I feel like we were robbed as fans of the opportunity for that fight to come to its natural conclusion. I feel like as paying consumers, we deserve for that fight to come to a natural conclusion. I feel like Bud deserved for the opportunity to get a stoppage that was beyond reproach. I feel like Porter deserved the opportunity to finish the fight, to go out on his shield, so to speak, or get an opportunity to get back into the fight.
Yes.
But Kenny Porter is going to bear the brunt of all that. And, you know what I'm saying? And more so, not necessarily just because of the stoppage, but because of the comments that he made when first asked why he stopped the fight. So no argument for me. I would have liked to see the fight come to a natural conclusion.
Exactly. There's opinions on both ends about this. People say that Kenny Porter stopped at the perfect time. I'm on the other end that I thought that the fight he could have gave Porter one more chance to see, because I believe that you can make an argument both ways that either Porter had enough to at least possibly get back in it, or he could have got stopped, right, and go out on his shield. Right?
Yeah, I'll say one more thing that I talk about that a lot of other people haven't touched on. When Shawn went down that second time, I know people feel like he wasn't really hurt, this, that, and the other. But if you look at it, was the shot that looked like it dropped him wasn't the shot that actually dropped him. It was a shot a few punches earlier, and then everything after that kind of missed or was glancing. But he was hit flush, almost like right in front of the ear, right to the side of the ear, by a big right hand by Bud. But ultimately, what I saw that makes me not really get that upset about Kenny stopping the fight is because when Porter went down, he did everything except get up and walk to the ref and say, "I'm ready to go." I know the ref asked him, "Can he continue?" He said, "Yeah," but he turned his back to the ref. You know what I'm saying? And I know people say that.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on, let me finish. I know that people say that the dad was already on the canvas and this, that, and the other, but I you know what I'm saying, and I can't really say in real time, in hindsight, how it happened in real time, because I really haven't went back and really like broke that out in segments. I saw it over, but I can't even remember that part. But I know that if I'm just looking at it, I'm like, when it was happening, I was like, okay, son, you need to get up, and if you want to continue fighting, get up. I mean, I have no idea how long he was on the canvas. I don't even remember. Like, really, I don't even remember the ref count. You know what I'm saying? I just remember paying, like, everybody was focused on what Shawn was doing, like beating on the canvas and all of that stuff, and like frustration, embarrassment, aggravation, being upset, anger, whatever he was going through. But he did not get up and just step to the ref like, hey man, let's get this. I'm ready to go. Let's go. So I can't really, I wasn't in Kenny's shoes, so I understand that Kenny did what he felt like was right. I just, as a boxing fan, and sometimes us as boxing fans, we're a little brutal and we're a little barbaric. I wanted to see it come to a natural conclusion.
And here's my response. When Porter was banging on the thing, he was banging in frustration. And was he buzzed? He was absolutely buzzed. You can tell that he definitely was starting to get that Crawford was starting to get to him. But you could also tell he had a little bit more little bite left. That's why he deserved the opportunity to at least get up one more time. Because again, had he went down for a third time, then it would have to have stopped it anyways, because the 3 knockdown rule. So
I don't know that they had that in effect. Sometimes it's not in effect.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if they had it in effect, but if they did, assuming if they did or did not, then I would have been completely fine knowing that rule. Okay, stop the fight. He's about to take unnecessary damage. But you also can tell when Kenny went to the ropes, he held the towel because he didn't want to throw the towel. Remember that?
Yeah.
So he didn't almost. So he was thinking about it. He's like, oh, should I throw it? I want to throw it, but I kind of. So
and maybe what he saw in Shawn's face and his, made him say, "Let me throw this towel."
Yeah, and he said, I think Shawn was going to his face like, Dad, I can continue, because I believe he went to his face and said, I can continue. Let's go. What are you doing? Why are you stopping the fight?
Yeah, Shawn didn't seem like he protested too much, man, to be honest with you. But I mean,
again, I know we're crying over spilt milk. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, man. The guy retiring, just like Kenny's comments about why he stopped the fight, kind of accentuate, it makes us that much more perturbed about him stopping it when he did. With Shawn retiring and Shawn making statements about he's been going into fights over the last couple years with retirement on his mind, that kind of, to me, in a way, that kind of validates the fight being stopped. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a guy who's mentally checked out of the sport, and he's in there with a guy that's starting to run downhill on him, and this is your son, and you've already seen in camp that he isn't where he should be. You know what I'm saying? He's not training the way he should. He's in camp watching the clock. He got other places to be, other things to do. So I understand.
And you know what, Dino? I'm not actually perturbed at the fact that Porter retired, because he fought everybody. He did it. I think he kind of reached his inroads here.
Oh, no, I have no issue with him retiring, man. And I have no issue with him not wanting to be a stepping stone for these up-and-coming fighters.
Me either, because Shawn Porter, I don't want to see him reduced to the Virgil Ortiz and the Jerron Ennis's of the world.
Yeah, and the Devin or I don't want to see him become Devin Alexander. You know what I'm saying? I don't want, and I mean, don't knock on Devin. I mean, I respect that he's still in the sport and he's still trying to make a living. But I don't want him to become that guy that guys are just saying, hey, let me fight him. He's a former champion. That gives me some validity, knowing that they're going to be heavily favored to beat him. Not to say that, right now, guys wouldn't be heavily favored to beat Shawn until one of them actually beat him. And then it'll get to where, okay, now you got guys like Boots coming up, and all of a sudden, they're heavily favored. Yeah, because somebody else done beat him down. Exactly. So, Shawn don't want to be reduced to that. He feels, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, like he said, he wanted to retire from the sport. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these fighters say, even Tank said the other day, he want to retire from the sport. He don't want to let the sport retire him. So I respect that.
And I completely respect that, because again, Shawn Porter, if he retires now, his legacy is going to be known as a guy who always gives the best of them a run for their money.
Yep.
And if he goes in there and fights the Jerron Andersons and things like that, and starts to get beat on, and eventually starts to get stopped, then it's going to tarnish his legacy.
Right.
Because it's going to be like, well, nah, I mean, no, this guy could compete and beat the best of them on certain nights if it was his right night. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He he beat a Ugas, he beat a Danny Garcia, he beat the other ones. You know what I'm saying? So he could have beat these champions on the right night.
Yeah.
It depended on the nights. Some nights went his way, some nights didn't. But you always knew he always had a chance and gave it his all. And it could have been a close fight that could have went either way.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Pacquiao, right? Pacquiao, like after Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn, I think if he'd have walked away at that point, nobody would have batted an eye. They'd have been like, oh man, he's a legend, whatever. They'd have been sad to see him go. But that was the right kind of loss that people would have said, yeah, man, Pacquiao's so much better than this. He needs to hang it up. And I remember hearing people talk about it. And then look how many more years we are down the road before Pacquiao actually hung it up. And look how many fighters he hung a L on in between that time and now. So, you know, he actually became a champion again after that. You know what I'm saying? So, and he gave a guy like Keith Thurman his first loss. So, you know what I'm saying? You just never know. But I do understand. And even when Marquez stopped Pacquiao, there were people talking in like, yeah, man, this guy, that kind of loss, this guy needs to go ahead and hang him up. So you just never know. But I definitely don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not you know what I'm saying, upset at all about Shawn deciding to hang it up when he does. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a better way to go out.
Yeah, and you know Shawn Porter's taken some punishment over the years.
Oh yeah.
He might, you know, I'm not saying it will happen, but he might have some brain damage when he starts to enter into his 50s.
Well, he could. You know why?
He could, yeah.
Because he has a great chin.
Okay.
And a lot of times the guys, even when you look at guys, the ring deaths, a lot of times it's not guys that get knocked out cold. It's guys that are able to take shots and, you know, take sustained damage over a long period of time. But I hope Shawn doesn't have any lingering effects from his boxing career. But no, because most boxers do though. Most boxers do.
Yeah, because I don't want to see, because Shawn, man, you know how much of an eloquent talker he is. Could you imagine seeing him stuttering, man? I might bring a tear to my eye.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him get out before it comes to that point, man. You know, yeah. I'm glad for that for him. But Lenore, I'm gonna try to just breeze through these comments, man, and see if anybody else want to hop on, because I gotta leave the house in a few minutes, go pick my son up from work. So if you got anything you want to add before you hop off, man, I appreciate you having you. I appreciate you coming on and taking time out. Yeah, that's my son calling me now. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on and chop it up with me, man. If you got anything you want to add, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually got to hop off soon, actually right now as well. Yeah, I just want to say thank you, DLowe. It's great to have a conversation with you and get your perspective on things. I hope that we both enlighten each other in certain aspects and grow as boxing learners and avid supporters. Yeah, and I just, you know, we're going to see what's on to the next big fight. We got Haney versus Jojo Diaz, and then we're going to see with that one. But I want to see, you know, boxing flourish, and man, I hope to come, you know, hopefully sometime in the future, possibly come on again with you.
Oh yeah, man, most definitely. You're always welcome, man. Like I said, you know, like you said, we don't have to agree to be able to dialogue, man. I'd rather, you know what I'm saying, have conversations about boxing with somebody who doesn't share all my opinions about things, which there's really never anybody who agrees 100% with me on everything anyway. So, yeah. You know, it's always good to talk with someone that has an opposing opinion and view on things, but then also to understand that, you know, as boxing fans, we're going to always have some common ground, and that we're going to have some things we can relate to each other on, and that we have a healthy respect for the sport and want to see the sport move forward, man. But I'll catch you, you know, sometime down the line in a chat or in a comment section, or either right here, man.
All right, DLowe.
All right, take care of yourself, man.
Take care.
All right, bees.
All right, bye.
All right, y'all. Let me try to get to y'all's comments, man. I apologize. You know what I'm saying, just having a healthy boxing conversation, you know what I'm saying, with Brother Lenore, and just chopping it up. So, you know what I'm saying, I know y'all been patiently, you know, sitting there conversing with each other and dropping your comments. So I definitely want to get back to those. Porter Logic says, Porter known for being hey Logic, welcome to the channel also, man. This is my first time seeing you in the channel on the channel, and I just want to say welcome. I know I didn't get that in earlier, man. And please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell icon and come back and check out some content, man. If not, hey, I respect that as well. Porter known for being in top shape for fights. Hard to believe Kenny Porter saying Porter didn't train well for the biggest fight of his career. Yeah, that was kind of disturbing to hear. But it was even more disturbing that, you know what I'm saying, when I really think about it, that is not that unbelievable. When I look at what the dialogue that was going on in the training footage that they were showing, Kenny stayed on Shawn's case about how he was training in preparation and how he was approaching things and not really listening to him. So it didn't come way out of left field, but I just didn't like seeing him say that about Shawn on that stage. I felt like it was kind of out of place, and I felt like Kenny could have gave a more of a diplomatic answer. And then, him and Shawn talked about all the stuff that he's talked about to us, that he talked about that. They talked about that behind the scenes, but be that as it may, it played out the way it did. If they like it, I love it. Crawford could detach that retina. I could see the fight stop from that scenario. Yeah, I definitely don't have any issue, and I've said in the past, I want Bud to fight Errol at his best and vice versa, you know what I'm saying? But Errol is the one saying he only wants champions, and part of it is that he's already said that he don't have very many fights left at 147. So with that being the case, maybe he doesn't want to waste his time fighting tune-ups. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he won't, or not tune-ups, but guys that aren't champions. He's saying he got 2 or 3 fights left and he's trying to get to all the belts. Well, if he has to fight a non-title fight in the interim, he's going to run out of fights at 147 before he gets a chance an opportunity to actually fight for Undisputed. Wu 36, Errol going to complain about menstrual cramps before the fight. Logic says, I think Crawford should sign contract with PBC since all the belts at 147 and 154 in PBC easier to make those than Crawford independent. Yeah, independently you can get locked out, but you also can do the fight by fight deals. You also, I don't know, man. I don't really want to speak on trying to tell these guys how to manage their careers because I don't know what all goes in these contracts, man. I don't want to say fighter A needs to sign an advisory contract with Al Heyman when I can't say I don't know what all that entails. I don't know what all you have to give up to sign those contracts. I know that a lot of people echo the sentiment that these fighters say about being their own boss, but then I've also heard these same fighters come back and say, call Al, or I can't do, I'm not a matchmaker, so at the same time, it's positives and negatives to everything. So I can't really say what they should do or shouldn't do. Wu said he didn't need a tune-up after that crash. He didn't take a tune-up after that crash. I'm not going to say he didn't need it. He in hindsight, he didn't need it to beat Danny Garcia, but he also has a detached retina. He also had a detached retina that came from somewhere. Did it happen in camp? Did it happen in the Garcia fight? And it could have happened in a tune-up if he had a tune-up. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he chose not to take a tune-up. And without a tune-up, he was good enough on fight night to beat Danny Garcia. But I can't say whether he needed one or should have took one or not. In hindsight, he didn't take one, and it worked out for him. If Crawford Spence don't happen, would like to see either face Thurman since they ain't fighting Ortiz or Boots. Yeah, I feel that way too, but I don't want to see either guy fight Thurman with Thurman not coming off of a loss and a 2-year layoff. I don't think that puts Keith Thurman at a disadvantage that, he doesn't have to go into a fight in. Keith Thurman that's a guy who needs a tune-up, in my opinion. I think Keith needs to get active. If Keith Thurman goes into a fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford with no interim fight, I would be of the belief that Keith Thurman is just chasing the bag. I mean, that's just my opinion. Gil Cole's agreeing with logic. Of course he is. And the Cowboys lost today. Today was a good day. Get ready, y'all. Here it comes. Oh, he was probably talking about something we was talking about. Gil, chill out. Talking about those Cowboys, bro. All right, stand the call of blood. Oh, man, come on, Ivory. You know what I'm saying? We all got our opinions about boxing, you know what I'm saying? And, you know what I'm saying? We all entitled to voice our opinion, you know what I'm saying? And I try not to just shut somebody out because other people don't want to hear them talk. You know what I'm saying? The man, I felt like the man, added value to the live stream. Porter style is difficult. Spencer boxing might be easier for Crawford to figure out. I could be logic. I just want to see the fight. I like to see the fight so we don't have to keep speculating about how it could play out. Plus, Spence didn't stop Porter or Danny. I believe Crawford stops Danny, which makes me believe Crawford power is superior. Yeah, and that's another fight. We don't know what happens if Crawford and Danny fight. All we know is they couldn't find a way to make the fight. Steal them boys. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get through these comments, y'all. I see y'all dropping off anyway, but I still want to get through the comments. And, I feel like I just, for y'all giving me y'all's time, I owe y'all to actually get through your comments. Gil's talking about somebody got semi-credit. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Wu said, told y'all. Gil Coles, yeah, okay. They're talking to each other. Rod X the champ, salute, man. Thank you for stopping by, man. Sorry, I'm just now seeing your comment. Packer fan 12. Hey, welcome to the channel, man. If it's your first time, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Porter said on the new Fight Hype interview that he's never been hit as clean and consistently as much as he did versus Crawford. Yeah, I saw that interview as well. I actually saw that interview right before I went live because I was actually catching up on some of the videos from the actual fight, and from people who interviewed the fighters and interviewed the trainers and Bob Arum and all of that stuff. Oh, boy. That first knockdown happened when Shawn was firmly planted in a square stance to the body, and that was in the early rounds. They don't count it. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't went back and looked at that knockdown, but I also, upon first glimpse, I thought that that it was a knockdown, but I didn't, I didn't have any objection to them not calling a knockdown because I didn't see it well enough to actually know what happened. Trey said, look, I've been down before. I taught him better than this. Come on, Shawn, get up. Son about to fire Kenny. Kenny knew what was going to happen to his son once camp started. He knew Terence was going to get the absolute very best of Shawn. Yeah, very possible. Oh, man, come on, man. Y'all, come on now. Shawn gave us some great fights. The problem with Errol is what happened to scrap season. Yeah. Woo! Trey X just cut me to the core. DLowe 404 boxing, what happened to Georgia Tech? Hey, man. I'd be here all night if I start talking about everything I got wrong with that I feel like is wrong with our football program and everything I got a problem with in our program. I'll just sum it all up and say that our head coach, if he wants to keep his job, if it was up to me, he needs to get him. And I know most teams don't ever do this, but I think he needs to get rid of both of his coordinators, ASAP Rocky. The defense coordinator needs to go. Everybody's setting records against us every weekend, and the offense coordinator needs to go. And I'm going to say this right here. We got Georgia next week. Georgia's going to go out there and they're going to try to outdo what Notre Dame did in our stadium. So, I'm thinking about going to that game, but I'm not 100% sure. I got somebody DM me and told me they got 2 tickets, and I told them if I went, that if I can go, I might buy a ticket, but I got to let them know by Tuesday. I'm kind of leaning toward not going because I think that I don't really want. I like to go support, but I don't really want to go see a bloodletting. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be ugly. But, hey, y'all, I just want to say thank you to everybody that stopped by. Most of y'all done dropped off, but anybody catching on the replay, much respect to you. I appreciate you coming through, talking boxing with me. Like I say all the time, it's much better to have someone to dialogue with and go back and forth rather than to just constantly, just put out videos. Now, I'm not saying I don't like doing that, but I definitely enjoy having a dialogue with you all and being able to converse back and forth. I definitely appreciate you guys giving me your time, and I definitely will, like I always say, I will try to do more of these. My schedule's just, always a little tough for me to get in here and do these live streams. and to actually schedule one. Most of the time I do one, it's kind of spontaneous, kind of impromptu. It's hard for me to just say, okay, at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, I'm gonna go live and be able to stick to it. And I don't want to be keep putting up putting up notifications that I'm going live and then not being able to go, because if I do that enough times, people are gonna just ignore him and say, man, that dude don't ever go live when he says he is. So I definitely got to try to get it to where I can have some consistency to it and do it with more regularity. But I definitely appreciate y'all, y'all continue to support the sport that we love. Put the sport of boxing, be a fan of the sport more so before we're a fan of these fighters. And let's just help do our part to move the sport of boxing forward. Again, I appreciate y'all stopping through. Man, I really, really enjoyed this live stream. And for those of you who come through, like I said, I really appreciate y'all, and I hope to catch y'all on the next one. That's all I got on it. Catch y'all on next time y'all stop through. Next time I go live, I hope to see some of the same names in the chat. That's all I got on it. I'm out. Peace. Man, I done messed up the live stream. Man, I guess I was on mute. I don't know. Let me just say this. I don't know if I was on mute or not, man. It's a little embarrassing, but whatever. I've been embarrassed before. Like I said, I just want to say I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Said a whole lot of other stuff. I don't know if y'all heard it or not. I don't know how long I was on mute. But, Trey X, as for my Yellow Jackets, it's been a terrible year. We'll see how it, we'll see what happens Saturday, but I don't expect it to be much better. I think Georgia going to do us worse than try to do us worse than Notre Dame did. But all of that being said, man, I appreciate everybody that stopped through. I'm about to get on off of here. I appreciate everybody, and I hope to see many of y'all in the live. I hope to see all y'all next time I go live. I'll try to be more consistent with it, try to do a better job of setting them up in advance and then sticking to it. That's all I got on it, man. It's been real. Peace. Oh, you heard all that? Well, you heard it again. I'm out.